PathSolutions has over 2 decades of experience building network monitoring systems designed to give you total network visibility. TotalView's automation means it can be fully deployed and configured in minutes, monitoring every device, interface, and server in your entire infrastructure. And it goes deep, collecting performance, configuration, 19 different error counters, PoE, and QoS statistics on every single interface. Now, all of this information is automatically analyzed to produce plain English answers. Problems get solved faster because more information and intelligence is brought to bear. This is what total network visibility is all about, knowing more about your network than with any other solution. TotalView is easy to acquire, as everything is included in the core offering: NetFlow, diagramming, path mapping, server monitoring, network automation, IPAM, cloud service monitoring, and more. Putting your trust in a monitoring system can require a leap of faith. From inception, TotalView has a more secure architecture and build process that helps to protect their customers. Contact PathSolutions today, where you can learn more about their competitive upgrade program, Total Network Visibility, rapidly deployed. Find out more at www.pathsolutions.com. Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's version, right? Tonight's instantiation of the Network Collective live stream. Tony, my friend, it is good to see you. How are you doing tonight?
You as well, Jordan. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm just smiling because that ad is awesome, dude. I mean, that PathSolutions ad, it rocks, man. Yeah, I like the music. I like the little stick figure guy. He's tearing it up.
I'm proud of that one. Like, from a digital content, things that I've created that's not obviously like the podcast it's probably one of the nicest things I've put together. So I think from that perspective, PathSolutions got their money's worth, right? And getting a pretty cool ad. But yeah, I like it too. I'm sitting here bopping to it. I'm like, oh yeah, but I picked the music, so it shouldn't be surprised that I like it. So Tony, man, what have you been up to? How's it going?
I'm going all right. It's going well. I'm doing all right. I don't know if I got anything new. I've just been cranking along here. Actually, I've been making some content that hopefully we will soon be sharing out on the Network Collective YouTube channel. So I've been shooting a couple of videos here in the master studio, which is really just my workshop. But the videos are coming out very cool, and it's going to be a really awesome sort of tutorial series, tips and tricks with EVE-NG and Zero Tier. So I'm really, really happy to be able to bring that content forward. Other than that, it's the same old here, diving into packets every day. In fact, today I was trying to take apart some of the Zero Tier packets, and I found some interesting information. So I think my next step is, I'm going to write an IDS signature, which is just going to be very simple and is going to lead to a number of false positives because it needs to be tuned properly, but something to start from, a framework to start from to be able to identify Zero Tier on networks.
Nice. I'm reading the chat already, and first I'm feeling I got a compliment, and then I got kind of dissed, like one right after another. So first it's like headphones today, cool. So headphones. So this is Preston.
Hey, can you put them up? Can you put them up on the screen?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I should do that. I mean, you're thinking. I'm just not even there. So yeah, so Preston, so he's like, headphones today, that's cool. So let me tell you, I'm not typically like a headphones on stream person because I have these really cool in-ear monitors. I love them. But today, I just could not get around to getting them cleaned up and ready to go. So I'm like, headphones it is. So I don't know if it's cool or not, but it's what works for today's show. And then immediately, because we show my desk as we're kind of getting ready for the stream, we'll kind of give that behind the scenes view of what's going on in the office as we're ramping up. And that's what I get. So I got the high, and then I got brought right back down. Like, just, cable management needs to manage it. Now, here, let me tell you, Preston, my friend, the amount of cables required to do this and how often those cables change, it's really better than it has been in quite a long time, which is why it's depressing to hear you say that, because my office is actually in better shape from a wire perspective than I've had it in quite some time. But it is what it is. So I won't I won't be too upset by that.
But it's just like, what is it? The shoemaker's kids don't have any shoes. The carpenter's house is always falling apart. And the network engineer's cables are a wreck at his house. It's usually the same in mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, this is the way to get there. So also, I don't know what it is about this. It's not like we don't plan this stream. We absolutely plan this stream. We actually planned it probably more than what our initial anticipation was about planning, like what we're going to talk about and what everything is. And in that, all that planning, the past few weeks have been right up to the edge of getting it started. So if you were watching the stream when we went live about 5 minutes before we went live, you might have been able to see me perspiring as I was scrambling to get the last pieces in place to make this work. So maybe one of these days we'll get it all aligned. The thing is, we need to stop coming up with new ideas, right? Because it's always scrambling for whatever it is that's the new thing to make that work. So hopefully that goes off without a hitch, because there's not been a whole lot of testing beyond testing last week for the trivia part. So we'll get to that in a minute. But how's everyone doing? So typically we don't ask you in the chat, like, how are you guys doing? So I see a lot of the same faces that we typically see today. I see Preston. I see Mark. Jar, I don't even know how to say your name, buddy. I'm sorry. J-A
Bolivar. Yeah, Bolivar.
Bolivar. So if you can give me a pronunciation guide so I get it right, that would be awesome. I'd like to pronounce it right. You've been around for the past few weeks. It's cool to see you. There's that Tony guy who commented in there. We've got a few more who haven't commented yet, but so yeah.
And I see Mark Hayes. Mark Hayes says, finally got my swag from the Naked Hardware contest. By the way, awesome stuff.
That's cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Mark. Glad you got it. And you know what? I think there's the last 2 weeks who I owe some swag to. So I'm just getting the last addresses right now. Today, I reached out to those folks who won last week, and I'm hoping to go to the post office and just do a drop for all of the swag at once this week. So maybe at lunch sometime this week, I'll run down to the post office, take care of that. So if you're watching or if you're listening to this and you haven't received your stuff and you won in the last 2 weeks, you should be expecting something coming this week or next.
This upcoming week. Awesome. It's Jair. We got a pronunciation guide. It's just two words. Okay. Jair. I can go with that. All right. I can go with that. Very cool. Hopefully we got that right. So yeah, President says, I'm fantastic, feeling super burned out.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah. And it's just like someone said, tell me your name without saying your name. And I saw this little video meme and,
there.
Yeah. And a guy points to his toe and he points to his knee. And that's it. That's the end of the video. It wasn't me. I saw it. It was someone else took that. That's a good one.
Well, that's good, man. So work is good. We didn't talk about work on Monday.
Work is good.
Yeah.
Work is good. I mean, what can I say? Sometimes work is play. Sometimes you're doing something at work that's almost like play. It's like you're just having so much fun. It's like you don't even want to stop at the end of the day. You're like, I just want to finish this project, man. This is cool. I can't wait to see what's next. And then other times, it's a bit of a slog.
Work is work, yeah.
Work is work. And so yes, I keep myself entertained. Here I got all these packet books, that I got for Christmas sitting over there. And I just got an alert from GIAC, the certification entity. I have 60 days to take my certification for my, I call it a SANS certification, but it's not actually SANS. It's GIAC that gives you the certification.
SANS is the training.
Is just a training company. Yeah.
But
they're sort of always mentioned sort of hand in hand,
Did I see, now we didn't talk about this at all, so sorry if I'm calling you out and putting you on the spot. Did I see you submitted a paper somewhere?
That's right.
Where?
I did. Wow. Yeah, I forgot. There's a conference called IntroSecCon, and it's geared towards newcomers in the information security space. Cool. And someone had Andre had sent me a DM. The @HugOfThunder on Twitter sent me a DM with a link and said they're looking for, they're looking for call for papers. and you should submit. And, I sometimes I really, really do suffer from, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Especially, I have no ground to stand on sort of publicly in the security space. I'm on Twitter with all these, these big security personalities, with 50,000, 100,000 followers, and they're authors and they're presenters and they do TED Talks and they have all these accomplishments, and I feel like, what do I have to offer that they don't? So I really do suffer from that imposter syndrome. But I was actually talking to my boss last night, and he was like, "Man, you got some cajoons. You're doing a live stream, you do podcasts, you're submitting to security talks." And I was like, I don't think it's the cajoons. I think it's just the I don't give an F. And the sad thing is I really do. I have that imposter syndrome, but sometimes I just talk myself into it, and I'm like, I just don't give a damn. And I just hit the enter key and send the email. And I just sort of have to put myself in that mental space. So it makes it seem like, if it doesn't work out, then it's not that big of a deal. But I did. I submitted a paper. And I think the topic I'm going to go over is a lot what I showed here on Network Collective, one of the early streams, about my home network monitoring.
That's cool.
I'm going to kind of refine that into a talk and talk about the individual components and how I did it all for free. Right? I don't pay any licensing. It's all free open source stuff. And if you are getting into the space, and maybe you don't work in a SOC yet, maybe you're not an InfoSec professional yet, this is a great way to start getting some real hands-on experience. So when you go to that job interview and someone says, hey, do you have any experience? You get to go, yes. In fact, let me tell you about what I've built. Let me show you how it operates. Let me tell you about it. Right. There is huge value about doing those projects from home. And I know we've sort of been back and forth in our industry of like, well, at the end of your workday, working is done. You don't have to lab all night if you don't want to, but some people like to do that, and I was one of them. So
yeah, I think
there's huge value
there,
in people. Go ahead.
The line there is whether or not you're enjoying yourself. I think that there's a lot of pressure. Like people set this bar super high that like you can't be successful unless like your entire life is consumed by your career, and I don't buy that at all. Now, obviously, you can get yourself ahead by doing extra work. And if you want to do that, either because you're motivated by your career, you're motivated by money, you're motivated because you just love what you're doing, more power to you, man. Do what makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, do what makes you happy. The risk there is just, keep taking care of yourself. Don't let yourself burn out because of the stuff you enjoy. Because so oftentimes I feel like it's peer pressure. There's so many people who push very hard in this industry and everyone feels like they need to keep up. And that's not what I don't think we want to encourage that. But I think, hard work, man, go after it.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'm just trying to lean on something that of where I came from in this industry, which was, I came to try and get a job having no prior experience.
Right.
I was trying to kick the door in with no prior experience. So what did I do was I bought a home lab. I bought some routers and switches and talked about that. And I put that on my resume. Do you have experience? Yes, I have experience with this hardware. I've done these kinds of configurations. I've done these style labs. I'm happy to discuss what I've done. And for someone going into the security space, I think the same can be said, taking the approach of like what I did at home. You can do all of this for free. I don't have a beefy server. There was no investment downstairs. I have an old PC that I have, ESXi on. That's where everything runs. So super inexpensive. So anyone, who doesn't have the funds, but still wants to get that hands-on experience, you can definitely set it up. And as far as I'm concerned, they were like, what's the title for your talk? And I was like, I don't have a title yet, but I was thinking of, it's not the size of the sock, it's how you use it. But, I really don't have a title for the talk, but I was just thinking about it. I get a lot of functionality about what I have at home and the way I've been able to integrate the tools together beyond things that I've seen that cost hundreds of thousands, if not, millions of dollars that don't operate as nicely in enterprise environments.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of good in that.
So anyhow, I'm going to base a talk around that. Hopefully I can get about 30 to 40 minutes of information out of that, give some good examples and everything.
So
Jair.
Now that I know how to pronounce it correctly, which makes me happy. I don't know. So Jair, if you're asking if there's a YouTube video specifically about the home lab, it was one of the first things we did on the live stream. That I don't know if we split that out. Let me go check quick. I'm going to go check YouTube to see if that is split out into its own video or if that's just embedded in the live stream. Because I know like we've pulled some stuff out.
Embedded in a live stream.
Yeah, I don't think we pulled it out as an individual. So you have to go to the full live streams. And I want to say that are all named Network Collective live stream. Maybe we should fix that. I started putting dates on them, right? So that helps.
Yeah. Yep.
Jair, we'll get you an answer. I'll figure out where that one's at, but it's definitely out there for sure.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, that's cool.
And you, Jordan? How's this week been?
So my work this week has been a little bit different. We have our global sales meeting kickoff, and I kind of like bridge the gap between sales and technical. So I'm technically part of that organization. So I listen in, and so it's been interesting, kind of getting the where we're headed. There's a whole rebranding at work and all kinds of different things, but not a whole lot technically. So it's kind of been you have to force myself to stay engaged and understand what's going on with people that I work with regularly. But it's all good. And then just some interesting work projects just that are kind of like, they're not right now, but there's a lot of prep work to make them happen. And so it's just a lot of research and a lot of getting stuff together, but nothing too dramatic. Network Collective is what's been dominating my time this week for sure. So,
hey, I wanted to ask you, you work for a large VAR. And I too, well, I haven't worked for a large VAR, but I've been partnered with large VARs, and I know that sometimes they throw these rather large, extravagant parties for like customers and vendors and stuff and their partners to come. Mm-hmm. Do you guys do that? Do you guys throw a big party?
So this would typically be one of those, but obviously COVID has put a hamper on that. This was all virtual. Yeah, everyone's at home. But yeah, there are times it's not something, let's just be honest, right? It's sales who does that. And so if you're tied to an account and they're doing something big, then you get invited along because you help them with the account. But it's never me that's driving to these things. And then the organization itself, yes, it does do it occasionally, but it's around, these specific events. And so like this GSM, they scaled back to every other year. It's not even an every year thing. It's every other year. And so like this, once every other year doesn't sound too extravagant to get everyone in the same room. But then also on top of that, they invite all of the major partners in, and there's a lot of conversations that happen basically in the hallway track to kind of build relationships. And when I say the hallway track, I mean the bar. But you know how it goes. And so it's almost like a little mini conference just, around the WWT ecosystem, which is why this year was so different, because this year a lot of people were missing that. Obviously, those of us who go to conferences regularly have kind of just adjusted to the fact that it's a lot lamer than being in person, not nearly as exciting, right? The info still is good, but so it will be, I imagine the next one will be a return to having a big party like that, but it doesn't happen all the time. I think it's more centered around, sales functions and conferences and those types of things.
Yeah. I used to go to one as a partner, annually, and I used to look forward to it. Like I did it once just on a whim. And then we sort of got invited back sort of annually. And gosh, I just always think of the food. I'm like, oh my God, the food there is amazing. And it's always in like some fancy ballroom, you know what I mean? There's DJs, there's all this stuff. They rent out this plaza of a hotel, and everything is just so cool. And you just go there and like, I don't know, you don't bring cash, you don't need it for anything. It's all taken care of. But, I love traveling, and I love, trying different foods and things. So like when I go to places like that, those are the memories that I take away. I'm like, God, did you see the food there?
For sure.
Also when you asked me like, what did I do last week? I think this week, was it maybe this morning, last night, I think I slipped a blog post out, which was a fun one. This one came from a friend asking me a question. And actually, I want to kind of just like preface this with, over the years in my career, I've been asked a lot of questions by junior and mid and senior level engineers, whether it's about a customer's network or a technology or a protocol or something. And if I know the answer, or if I have a way to explain it, I'll jump to the whiteboard. You jump to the whiteboard right away and we start drawing it out. We ask questions, it becomes a point of discussion. And I started joking because this became like a near like daily occurrence where we would have like a whiteboard session, and not just a whiteboard session with like the people in my company. If we were working in the same space with other partners, they would start wheeling their chairs up, and I would have a good audience of people just watching a whiteboard session. And I was always joking that, I'm just going to start capturing all these in a blog series called Today I Was Asked. And it will just go into like the question of the day. Today I was asked, how does TCP actually work? Today I was asked, can you actually do this with EIGRP? Today I was asked, can you run 2 GRE tunnels inside of themselves? Today I was asked, and just I was sort of capturing all that. So on my old blog, as most people who run a blog know, your drafts folder is like a ledger of unfinished stuff that you never want to do.
All the things you've had good ideas about but never have been able to complete. Yeah.
Mine are a bunch of today I was asked ... and what that question was. And I just never got around to like making the post. And this one was actually someone asked me last week, and it was not a coworker. It actually came through Twitter. An old friend from Twitter reached out and asked me a question, and I didn't know the answer actually. In fact, if anyone's in the Network Collective Slack, I think I even asked this question in the Network Collective Slack to see if anyone knew. I didn't get any confirmation answers. So I had to build a lab and research it. And what I came up with was some pretty cool research. Very simple, but it got me some experience using Scapy. I don't know. Have you ever used the Scapy framework?
A little bit.
It is super cool. I mean, it allows you to build packets field by field. Mm-hmm. Correctly or incorrectly, and that's one of the things that I was testing was how does the device react when I start feeding it incorrect fields,
malformed packets,
and that was super cool. So I got a bunch of scripts written out of that. So now I got a little bit of hands-on experience with that, and just setting up the lab here. I don't get to do hands-on troubleshooting like that all the time. So that was a lot of fun. So I slipped that blog post out. So if anyone wants to go read it, you can go to showipinterfacebrief.github.io. That's the latest blog spot for me.
I missed that. I'll have to go read it. Preston's asking, that was the ASA post?
Yeah. Yep. That was the ASA post. Yes, it was.
All right. And our conversation about parties, Donald is all in, says someone needs to throw us a party. And then Preston thinks it should be Network Collective. So all of a sudden we went from very large scale VAR throwing a party to Network Collective taking it out of its feeble budget to throw a party.
That's right.
Yeah. So, we'll see. Anyway, hey, you already have one positive comment on your post. Preston thinks it's a very good post.
Cool. I appreciate that, Preston. I really do. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, man. Well, you ready to try something new?
Yes, I'm ready to try something new.
All right. So
I had to think about that because I'm like, wait, this can go a lot of ways. What new thing is he talking about?
What are you surprising with me live on air? No. So last week we had a lot of fun with Mike Pfeiffer. That's right. He came on to share his war story, which we are having a backlog of content I've got to get out on video, but he came to share his war story, his tales from the trenches, if you will. But we asked him we've asked him if he would be willing to be the guinea pig for a new thing we wanted to do. So we figured it'd be fun to kind of do some like networking, and not specifically networking, but trivia for networkers. To get everybody involved. And so this week we're going to do the whole thing rather than just run a test run. We're going to do the whole thing. And so this is what we're going to want to do. I'm setting the stage here. We're going to run a qualifying round of trivia. This means that everybody who is currently in the chat or watching us live can join us, and we can facilitate up to 20 people. So it's the first 20 people who show up.
First 20 people.
If 20 people show up, right? And so the first 20 people to show up can participate in this. And if you're in the top 2, we're going to bring you back on later on the show to play a final round. And if you win that round,
back on the show, on the show, live stream.
Yeah,
face to face, live stream.
Face to face. We're gonna get you the info. We're gonna have you call in, and then we're gonna get you up, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it live, right? And so that's the part live. That is the part that can completely fall apart. Possibly, we're gonna see how that works to bring people on demand. The answer to the first question is yes. Apparently. There's no yes or no questions, but go for that, Preston. That's a way to get started. So I'm gonna bring us up here. Let me just make sure that I'm ready. And so everyone on this one is welcome to join us. So I'm gonna bring this up, and we're gonna leave it up for a couple minutes so that people can jump in. So I really want everybody to come in. Don't be embarrassed. There's some fun stuff in here. There's some networking stuff in here. But we'll give everybody the opportunity to come in. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of a lag on the stream, so I'm going to take a sip of whiskey. Cheers. Tony, and you didn't have much to do with the creation of this, so you could jump in if you wanted to on this just to play along.
Oh yeah. I don't think you understand, but like I am crazy competitive over meaningless things. This is my style right here.
All right, awesome. I like crazy competitive. We're getting some people jumping in now. All right.
But I tell you what, if we end up with a full boat and someone's locked out because of me, I'll jump off. I'll decline. Let someone else jump in and play.
All right. And if you're if you want to. Or if you don't know how it works, it's right there at the top. You just go to kahoot.it and it's going to ask you for the pin, ask you for the name, and you can jump in. But we've got quite a few people in already, and we'll give it just one more minute and see how that goes. I want to know who the cabbage is. There's the risk, right? There's the risk for this. I can see it already. Freeform text field to enter in whatever they want to as a name.
Yeah. No approval. No moderation.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's Donald Sharp.
We're getting a please hold for 120 seconds. There's no commercial breaks in live stream. There's no commercial breaks.
We'll give it one more minute.
But we gotta talk about that. There should be like at the 1 hour mark, like a good 60-second commercial break, like the PathSolutions. I love the PathSolutions one. Zero fear.
All right.
I love that. Zero fear. Thank you, Jay. Who's
I'm assuming it's Jay from the Slack.
It's gotta be. I don't see him in chat.
Donald Sharp says it was awful. It limited the length. So apparently it's not a totally free-form field, and you can't write a novel. You are limited to a certain number of characters.
Yeah, please wait for another 120 seconds while I finish writing my name.
Check in general.
All right. General.
Oh, Jay, there it is. Yeah, it's.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, that message, please hold for another 120 seconds, was 2 minutes ago, according to my and.
All right, hit it.
He's commented back again. So Jay is Jay. Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so here we go. I hope everyone's ready. This is the qualifier. Dun, dun, dun. I've got to come up with better names.
Oh yeah, and we need some music.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we should put some music in here for sure. All right. What's that thing called?
Oh man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it's actually called. What? I got it right on a guess. I
right.
actually maybe Donald Sharp will be able to answer this. I heard that the reason they call C# language C# was because it's actually 4 plus signs stacked on top of each other. Because instead of like C++, it was like double C++.
C#.
Anyone back me up on that?
I don't know, but if I hit next now, he's going to have 2 things to think about. So let's do that. So he doesn't win them. Look at this. Now, this is not fair, by the way, because you have less lag than they do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So even you go ahead and keep
right.
going, but you're not gonna. I think what you should do is you have to give yourself a 10-second handicap.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Deal.
A little bit of random tech trivia. Mm. 2013.
Wow. Okay. All right. I have an answer, but I don't actually know. I'm gonna just answer them for me at the.
So the other thing we have to keep in mind, and I would like some feedback from everybody on this. Our question length is set to 20 seconds, but we know there's a lag on the stream. So it really only gives you as a listener or a watcher about 10 seconds or maybe a little bit less. I'm not sure on what the delay is. And so if it's too short for you, let us know in the chat because I can adjust that question length. Because obviously I can't shorten up the time that it takes to get the stream out to the services and to you.
Yeah. Mark says, it's pretty quick.
6 or 7.
And I wonder if there's a way that they could actually see it when they log into Kahoot. Like when you click next, it puts next on their own browser.
So there's only a couple of options, right? Like you either assign it to somebody or you do it through what they consider to be Zoom. And so we're working around the system, right? About 5 to 10 seconds is what I'm hearing. So you guys have to be quick on the trigger finger today. I will extend the links next time to make sure that there's enough time for the time that the screen moves. Now everybody's someone's saying don't change it. All right, well we'll see. We'll see how this all goes. It's all an experiment. Okay. So Tony doesn't count. Jay's in the lead and the cabbage is second. All right.
Me and a buddy, we will fight about this. Like
this is a tough question because people
this
have
is not a tough
the
question.
wording.
There's a real answer to this.
I agree with you. I think
I'll die on this hill.
You'll die on the hill.
That's right.
I did trick some people with that. So I had put up 1024. How many bytes are in a megabyte, not a kilobyte? Kilobyte 1024 would have been correct on a kilobyte. It's 1024 times 1024 is how many bytes in a megabyte. So a little bit of trickery there. So sorry for those I tripped up.
Thank you, Donald.
Not a good hill to die on. All right. Cabbage moves up. The programmer gets it. That's who gets it the fastest. Is the guy who's coding all the time. Oh, look, Laz is in now. Good. All right, here we go. Keep going on. So I'm going to comment. Everybody needs to have seen the video that screen capture came from. And if you haven't, you need to go find it.
I haven't.
Okay, so the thing about that video, it is to the tune of YMCA, and it's not your network with OSPF, and there are what definitely look to be network engineers doing it. It is as bad as you would expect it to be. So add it to your list of things you have to do. It's absolutely required. In fact, we should just play a clip here sometime. All right. Last taking a step up. Donald. Oh, all right. I love how, like, for the first 15 seconds on our screen, there's no answers at all. And then there's a mad rush of people responding. So this one's Elon Musk. All those other people dropped out of college. Elon Musk is the only one who didn't. I thought that was an interesting little fact.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Look at that. Donald taking the lead decisively.
Ooh. Oh, Power Glove. I had one when I was a kid.
Did you really? That you were like the king
yeah,
of the neighborhood if you had one of those things.
No, I had my mom and dad were divorced, so he was trying to win me over with gifts.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
The thing was useless. You couldn't play any game. It was a brilliant idea, awesome marketing, but like definitely
it was not functional.
No.
All right. So my gauge on these questions is they've got to be good enough that people can answer them, but not everybody answer them. And so far, it looks like we're doing okay. So there we go.
And let's just take a pause here for a second, Jordan. Are these out of the old nut up top?
No,
yours?
No.
Or
These are
did you pull
completely
from a source
stolen
somewhere?
off the internet. Yes. So,
okay. All right.
So if you will read all of the tech trivia you can find on the internet, you will be giving yourself the research you need to win this game and the super spectacular prize that comes at the end of it. All right, moving on to the next one. Well, actually, no, we've got. Whoa, there's some fluctuation happening here in the scoring. Last taking the lead now.
The pole position.
So who said this? That's the question. Who said this?
Jordan Martin.
It wasn't me. I give you a hint now.
Steve Jobs, Vint Cerf, Russ White.
Somebody answered me. Whoever answered me, that's not smart. You shouldn't have done that. I want to put my own quote on here. How narcissistic do you think I am? I thought I was giving a freebie. Okay. All right, Laz, still killing it. But it's close. Okay. So this is a bit of fun current events. What rocket recently had a rather dramatic Rudd event? Do you know what Rudd is?
It was more of a half gainer, I thought.
A half gainer?
No.
All right. We got some right answers there. Rapid, unplanned, or unscheduled disassembly is when it explodes. All right.
That sounds like a government acronym.
Yeah, it came out of NASA. All right. Now, pure networking here. I like the cans and string. I'm like, sometimes I feel like BGP is that.
There you go.
So Tony and I were arguing about whether or not like ports and IP protocols and whatever, universal acceptance means I'm wrong. So congratulations, Tony. You were right about that one. Good job, everyone.
I just want to reiterate that he said that no one will memorize that stuff.
So you were talking
esoteric.
You were talking about IP protocols. You weren't necessarily talking about ports.
Okay, it's true.
When I said that,
and that's because I thought
numbers,
the ports were too easy. I thought the ports were too easy, so we'll do IP protocol numbers.
Yeah, we'll just keep pushing into harder. And I didn't want to make this a CCIE exam. That's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want it to be, unapproachable. All right, a little bit of pop culture for our Firefly fans. Do you know the answer to this, Tony?
I don't.
Did you watch,
I didn't watch
Firefly?
No.
So I have to admit, I haven't watched Firefly either. I've been told by, I don't know, about 800 people that I know that I have to because of some of the things that I like. But I actually knew the answer to this. So there you go. Most people did. All right.
I mean, I could say the same about, Back to the Future Part 3.
Yeah, sure. Look, Laz got the fire icon. Laz is on fire.
Is that the last question?
Oh, no. There's 14 questions. I don't think that was the last one. I'd be getting
close.
We're 11 to 14.
Oh, okay, 11.
Yep. So here we go. This is not subjective. I don't care what you say. What's the correct pronunciation? And I'm not going to say it because then I'll be giving away the answer.
I wish you did an option with like a letter J in it and an option with something else.
You all are wrong. For the two of you who answered that correctly, you are my friends. Well done. All right. So last is like in Spanish, hif. All right. Moving on. I can't keep reading the chat. For our Office fans.
Ooh. I know this one. It's a good one. And that was a hilarious episode. That was a good one.
That was a good one. Wow. Beanie Babies was the second best option. Nice. All right. Whoa. Uh-oh. 4 players just dropped their answer streak of 3. That tripped up a lot of people. Wow. But Jay, man, way to be on it.
Combo breaker.
Second to the last one. Who said it? The wise speak only of what they know. I don't anticipate that a lot of people know this one. This was the mess everybody up question. 3 got it right.
What?
Wow. Very, very nicely done. All right, wow. That's 13 to 14. So this next one is the last one. So let's take a look at our leaderboard. Jay out to a sizable lead. I don't think it's insurmountable though, with Laz and Donald just right behind. Preston there, yeah, okay. Here we go. Last one, guys.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Tony doesn't do cabling, apparently.
I know that's the one we're supposed to use.
Permanently etched in my head. Yes, look at that. 6 to 1. All right, here we go. It's time for the big reveal. You ready? All right.
Oh, I need a drum machine.
There was no
fear.
There was no like big trophy. Remember how we played it last time? And like, it was like, here's the third place player. But you remember how we played it last time? It was like, here's the third place player. Here's the second place player. Here's the first place player. It was like a big dramatic reveal. This was like, okay. So Donald and Jay.
I failed.
But you stopped playing because I told you had an unfair advantage.
I failed. I failed at executing the sound effects and doing the big dramatic reveal at the end. Yes, I failed. As a host, as a co-host, I failed.
No, it's all good. So Jay and Donald, I'm going to reach out to you. So coming up next is going to be a demo from Tony or some discussion around Zero Tier. And while that's going on, I'm going to be in the background working to get you guys connection information. And then we are going to go, as soon as that demo is done, we're going to go head to head between you two. Much shorter quiz, so not everyone has to sit through 14 questions. We figured we'd leave the longer one for everybody who wanted to play, and then the shorter one for the head to head, and then whoever wins gets a prize pack. So yeah, okay, let's head back this way. And so Tony, do you have your desktop shared?
I'm preparing that now.
Okay, we'll get that going.
All right. I'll move that tab over here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right, that's up.
All right, so you ready?
Yeah,
I don't see it. Hold on.
Okay. What have I done wrong? Oh, I didn't complete it.
That much better. All right. So without further ado, Tony, I'm going to hand it off to you so you can talk more zero tier, right?
Yeah. Zero tier has been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, I've been working on a small little mini tutorial series, which sort of brings together all the tips and tricks of zero tier and EVE-NG, just to help everyone sort of get the most out of their labbing, especially when they lab using Google Cloud as their platform, as their infrastructure as a service. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about it because I think last time we just dived into a demo, which was relatively quick and just showed how quickly you can stand up a VPN between two endpoints. And that was wildly successful, and we did it in less than 5 minutes, and that's why I love zero tier. We didn't really actually talk about sort of how that works. So we wanted to kind of sort of step backwards and talk about how that works a little bit. So over here, I want to say on Zero Tier's website, which is just zerotier.com, they have a pretty good knowledge base. And a lot of times when I'm going for this information, this is where I'll start. They also have another link that I will share with you guys, which goes into pretty good depth on everything that they do. One of the things I like to always point out is that these are the root addresses. So I am going to try and sort of draw, if I can, on my screen, draw the hierarchy that zero tier sort of operates in. And at the very top of that is going to be the root servers. These are owned and managed by zero tier. So unless you're running your own controller, or if you're running your own node as a moon, you are using one of these. So when you connect a node to the zero tier network, it is communicating back to all of these addresses. And it's telling them all what your node is. And of course, it's picking up your public IP address from that communication. And so all of your nodes are doing that. And therefore, this knows about these controllers here, these root servers know about the public IP address, the cryptographic node ID of each endpoint. And so when you send your ping or your traffic from one node to another, it's actually going to relay through a root server. And that's one of the reasons why we only have to worry about our outbound UDP traffic, because it's going to be coming back in that same UDP channel that we have already connected to that root server. Now, that's why this is just sort of stupid simple and always works, and why it makes it so easy to connect two nodes on two separate networks. However, there's a more efficient way for nodes to talk to one another, right? And that's to actually go from peer to peer, right? To skip the relay altogether. I don't actually need to send encapsulate packets in zero tier, send them to a relay, one of their root servers, just to go to my Google Cloud instance. I should be able to send that directly. Well, how that happens is each node actually talks to the root server, and the root server tells each node the other's address. And then they'll start sending UDP packets directly to each other using something called UDP hole punching. This is really cool. This isn't anything that's brand new. This is a very old technique, but it's specifically designed for this. And it works great with UDP because UDP doesn't have a sequencing mechanism the way TCP does. So TCP is always going to have a sequence in appending order, or in ascending order, I should say. UDP doesn't have a concept of that. So we are able to actually use the UDP hole punching method, send packets to each other, and they'll actually traverse the firewall. That's really cool. So if anyone wants to read up on that, just UDP hole punching. If you ever try to think, like, if you have a firewall or a gateway at your home network, how does the zero-tier packets come into the network, right? If they're coming from another node remotely, if you guys are doing direct peer-to-peer, without opening a firewall port. That's the whole point here, is without opening that firewall port, how do you do it? And UDP hole punching is a pretty cool technique, and this sort of breaks it down here in the flow. So again, I did a lot of research on this to try and understand what was going on under the hood with zero tier. And there's a number of tricks that they employ. And it's pretty cool. A lot of it is sort of coming from the perspective, written from the perspective of a developer. Sadly, I'm not a developer and I don't know that language very well. So I'm more focused on the network communication and actually what that looks like. So the other thing I wanted to show you on Zero Tier's website, if you go to their website, zerotier.com, you go to support and manual. This is actually sort of a many pages document that sort of breaks down what the architecture of Zero Tier is, what the flow looks like as it goes from node to root server to node, and sort of how it handles the virtual interfaces on each operating system. So I think that's super cool. I can't get into too much of it, but I really wanted to understand how that network flow was working. So it sort of operates on two levels, the VL1 and VL2. VL1 is actually sort of the transport, the encrypted transport, and VL2 is more of the interface on the operating system that your operating system pushes packets through. So I think that's very cool. The root servers, Zero Tier sort of has a little bit of its own nomenclature. Obviously, root servers, you can visualize what those are, similar to DNS root servers. But there's a concept of worlds. There's a world definition, and there are planets and there are moons. And right now, I am a node. My workstation, rather, is a node. And right now, it's connected to one planet, which is our planet. So all of the root servers are connected to our planet, which is Earth. We're not going to have another planet. But it affords us the ability to scale out. If we needed to start using another planet here on Earth, we could do that. But right now, everything, while it's relatively small, still operates on the Earth planet. And moons are just like the root servers, but they are root servers that you would run locally, that you would run within your data center, within your enterprise. And one of the examples it gives is maybe you don't want to register to the root servers. You don't want your nodes to register to the root servers. You can configure them to register to the moons, to the controller that you operate. Moreover, if you lose internet connectivity, if you lose connectivity between your node and the root server, you can't register, and therefore you can't talk node to node. You can't send traffic. But what if you still have reachability within your enterprise between two nodes that would typically be using Zero Tier? If you stand up a controller within your environment, that's called a moon, those devices are able to talk to the moon and use that as their relay and use that as their source of information to let each other know what their addresses are and how to reach each other. So I think that's super cool. I had to dive into it a little bit to figure out what was going on. So one of the other things I did was I started capturing some packets. That's what I like to do. I like to study the traffic and understand how things work. And this is how I do it. So I have a VPS, a Linux VPS on a cloud provider. And I joined it to Zero Tier, and I have my local NIC here in my home from my DHCP server. And I distilled down, I used a filter, I used a filter to just drill down to our two hosts, and everything is just UDP. And in fact, Wireshark doesn't classify this traffic as anything. Maybe they don't have a dissector for Zero Tier. And so I started looking at these payloads, and as I go down the line here, I'm start looking at these payloads as I go down packet by packet. There's nothing clear text. There's nothing I can look at. There's no identifiers that I can see that is going to tell me what's going to what. So I used a strategy that I do when I'm trying to figure out sort of protocol fuzzing and figure out what's going on. I used a T-Shark to actually extract only these payloads, and then I can stack them and compare them visually and see sort of what lines up, what fields line up. But as long as you have not variable length fields, but fixed length fields, they'll always be in the same place. And what was very interesting was I found some of those, and I found what they were. So here is a Notepad document. This is the hex dump of the payload. This is with all of the layer 4 header removed, layer 4 and up, or I guess layer 4 and down, I should say. So this is actually starting the payload. And these are packets of varying length, but you'll actually notice that this group right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 packets are all equal length. Look, they all finish, the payloads all finish at exactly the same mark. That's very interesting. These 2 packets finish at exactly the same mark. So these are some interesting components to this protocol, and I can't actually find any information on how this is broken down on ZeroTier's website. What I was able to find is there's a hex 88 right in the middle. Well, it's not quite right in the middle, but about 20 bytes, maybe 25 bytes into each payload. So what I did is I started separating bytes out from there, right? So now I have one fixed spot in the payloads. And what that looks like when I start breaking them out is I started noticing this. I started separating them, and I could see that some were the source and some were the destination. So in one notepad are my sources. This is unidirectional traffic going from the source to the destination, and this is the return traffic coming from the destination back to the source. And what I found was this 88 identifier, this hex 88, sort of delineates some fixed field in the packets. What I found ahead of that was this is the 10-byte node ID. It's a 40-bit value of the source. This is the 10-byte 40-bit ID of the destination. And so when I stack these, you can see they flip-flop. Oh, every time I click on one, it goes away. Let's do it like this. Pardonnez-moi. Should have had a little better window management. Okay. So what I was showing is that these flip-flop. So what was the source becomes the destination, and what was the destination sort of becomes the source. And while this isn't significant, this is like the first step in being able to identify sort of what's going on here in the payload. Now, the ZeroTier documentation says this is fully encrypted. They're using PKI for node IDs and a bunch of crypto something. I can't write code, so I don't know what the hell they're doing. But there's a bunch of cryptology stuff. So this is entirely encrypted. But again, one of the interesting things is that, they're all fixed lengths. They're not variable length. And typically when you're encrypting things, even if I encrypt the same thing, the same message rather, I will get different lengths out of the end of it. Unless you're using sort of like a fixed hash or something, a fixed hashing method. Someone can drop me a message in the chat. Someone can shoot me a message on Twitter and kind of break it down for me. But I thought this was really cool because what this means is no matter where you are, if you're able to pull a PCAP, you're able to quickly identify whether or not the UDP traffic that you're seeing is part of ZeroTier communication. And then you can start to take a look at, wait, I can see these nodes. So right now I would be able to build something in Python that'd be able to strip all of the ZeroTier node IDs out of a PCAP and be able to have that as some sort of evidence. So I don't know what the leading values are yet. I'm still going to dig into that and see what I can find. But I thought that was very, very interesting, very, very cool. One of the other things I wanted to show you as I've been digging around in a lot of places that I shouldn't are in the Windows driver. Let's see, zoom in. This is the Windows driver INF file that Zero Tier installs. And they gave us a little hidden message here in the strings, which is Zero Tier Networks LLC. We're Zero Tier Inc. now, but kernel mode certs are $300 plus. So fuck that. And I thought that was just a little bit of programmer humor tucked into the thing.
That's classy right there.
There's one other thing in here, which is it says NDIS 5. Yes, NDIS 5 is correct. Yep, Windows. So two little messages in there. I like to find that stuff out. And there's another thing I want to show you guys, which is I think this driver is signed with a certificate. And maybe Zero Tier can correct me on this, but here's the certificate that's in the same directory as the driver, named the same as the driver, and it expired in 2016. What's up with that, Zero Tier? See right here, it's got the little red circle. So maybe someone can help me out with that. Anyhow, so I just wanted to sort of break that down a little bit. I wanted to talk through it a little bit more. I think there's a lot of very cool things we can do with this sort of architecture. This allows people, nodes to communicate with each other via peer-to-peer because they get the information from a root server, which tells the other end what their IP address is and what port they're coming from. So I think that is super, super cool and a very clever way to get through to that. Obviously, you can open up the ports on your firewall. That's a great way to do it too. But I would say that would probably be only inside of a perimeter boundary, probably not the outside of your perimeter boundary. So yeah, I guess I want to wrap it up here. Jordan, if I can. And also, I want to let you guys know that I'm going to be doing some Zero Tier tips and tricks on a little video series on the Network Collective YouTube channel. So if you are labbing in EVE-NG and you want to play around with Zero Tier, I'm going to show you some cool stuff, hopefully in the next week or so.
Sounds good. He gave himself his own applause. I completely whiffed on on the sound effects. So while Tony was going about that demo, which was really interesting, I'm gonna have to go back and actually watch that in more detail because I was scrambling around on the back end getting everybody connected. We have some friends with us now. So Donald Sharp, woo! Hey man, how's it going? Jay Stewart, man, welcome.
Thanks, bro. Thank you. How's it going?
So we've got another game ready to go, but it's just going to be these two head to head. So we're gonna let that happen, and I'm gonna kick it off right now. So we're gonna go here. I think we're ready. Yeah, that's good. So we learned our lesson from last time and did not leave the the pin exposed so everybody could connect to the game on their own, and these two are already there and ready to go. So I'm gonna kick that up because that's where the other pin is going to be, and we don't want that to be there. So you guys ready? All right, let's do it. We're gonna kick it off. So this is starting. Again, got to be more creative with these game names. This is not fair. So, Donald's on this one.
It's not fair. You're right.
It's not fair.
Come on.
I'm sorry I gave you so much time. Oh, look, there we go. Okay. All right.
Does the timer stop when
I was close?
Are in?
The timer stops when everybody has answered. Yeah, so you don't have to wait until the very end. Yeah, so if everyone's answered. All right, so that's the first one. Unfortunately, Donald's off to a pretty big start here, I'm sure. All right, Jay,
Donald, I can't believe you got that right.
All right.
Yeah, that was completely
Fear
not
the cabbage.
fair. Yeah, Fear the Gambit. Here we go. Think quick.
I should have not done this in public.
Oh, no.
12. 8 plus 4, right? So 4 is what? 16.
So Donald's inner child is that picture right now.
We're going there.
All right. All right. Let's see. Oh,
Nice.
Jay coming back. All right. Now it's a game. It makes me feel a little bit better. Not that Donald, that you got it wrong, but just that Jay's in it, because I felt really bad that I gave an EIGRP question first thing for the one that you're on. Now I feel, all right, here we go. RFC 1925. Which rule is it? I don't have this memorized, so I would completely get this wrong. So there's no embarrassment for getting this one wrong.
Who would memorize this? Yeah,
So-
who would memorize this? What kind of game is this?
Some of them you do memorize. Obviously, Rule 11's obvious, right? Like just because of Russ, everybody knows what Rule 11 is. But here we go. Okay, so next one. Proprietary spanning tree.
I'm so in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Donald actually isn't allowed to answer this one correct per his employment agreement.
Nice.
Okay. Oh, look at that.
I'm a
Jay's
layer
taking the
3 guy.
lead. Yeah, I know. How much have you done with
More
layer
Juniper
2?
questions. Come on, guys.
More Juniper questions. You're gonna have to help me. Well, before we go to this last question, I'm gonna put out the call. It is tough coming up with questions for trivia for a bunch of networking geeks. So if you've got good trivia questions, DM them to me, because I spent far too much time on this, trying to come up with decent questions that weren't like stupid, esoteric in the middle of nowhere type questions. So, all right, this is the last one. It's anybody's game.
Now, I was going to say, wait a second. Let's not rush through this. This is a big moment right here. This one is going to crown the very first Network
champion.
Collective Trivia head-to-head champion. This is a huge moment. Are you guys ready?
Are you feeling the pressure, Jay?
A little bit.
Let's take a few more seconds here.
All right. Well, listen, we'll take as much. I'm gonna take a sip of whiskey here. You guys good? Cheers. Good luck.
Cheers.
I think I'm in trouble.
I still don't have the drum roll sound effects. That would have been good for right here, but
Some air horns, perhaps.
some air horns. Yeah, that's for me. No, that's for me for not having the right sound effects. All right, here we go. We're gonna do the very last question here. Everyone ready? All right, here it is.
Nick is going to kill me.
I have to make this bigger so I can read it.
7, 5 seconds, 3 seconds, 1 second.
Oh,
Oh no! From that sound, I'm in suspense. Complete suspense.
my hand slipped. I was going for the green.
That was
too long
for somebody.
to get it.
So, but Jay was in the lead, and so the question is, how long did it take Donald to get? Did he get it fast enough to overcome Jay's lead? We're gonna
I had to
find
make the
out.
screen bigger so I could read it.
Oh, maybe that's a warning. It's something
It's a lot.
that you have to make the screen bigger so you can read it. All right, here we go. We're gonna find out. Did Donald do it?
I didn't do it.
He did. Donald Sharp, congratulations. The first ever Network Collective Trivia winner. So here's the thing. Now it obligates
Head-to-head champion.
Head-to-head champion. That's right.
Actually, technically, you're world champion right now.
Should I do a victory lap now?
Well, I mean, if you want to, that's completely up to you.
Turn around slowly in your chair.
So here's the plan. Well, I mean, where are we? We're at the beginning of the month. So this is perfect. Oh, Jay just left us. Oh no, he's there. Okay. So this is the beginning of the month, and we're gonna play all month, and then what we're gonna do at the very end of the month. If you're around, you don't have to come if you don't want to. We're gonna bring back all the weekly champions, and we're gonna do a much better prize for the monthly champion, right? So you've hit a plateau, you've hit a height that no one else has ever hit, Donald, but there's more to go. That's what I'm saying, is there's more glory to be had. And Jay, next week, man, although Jay's probably gonna Jay's like, I'm never coming back on the stream again. I'm not playing the trivia game. I don't want to be on the camera. This is too tense.
I was only here by a fluke.
I do appreciate you guys being willing to come in and join us. Donald, thanks for jumping on. Jay, thanks for jumping on. Way to participate. This was a lot of fun. So thanks, guys.
Is there a certification program for the trivia?
We probably should do that. We should offer a paper cert that goes along with this. And I mean, that's got to be super valuable. That's awesome. Hey, so
my buddy made this 3D print for me. So if anyone's got a 3D printer, Network Collective would like to give away some cool 3D print.
If everybody's a 3D printer, we want you to make us stuff for free. Yes. All right, guys. Well, thanks again. And hopefully we'll see you on real soon. So we're going to give you a round of applause on your way out.
Well done.
Well done. I'm looking at the comments now because I'm sure. Should we get play? So I'm looking down here. So Sharp for president. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's I'm on board. And then also, absolutely is a champion. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Oh man, that was fun. So we need music.
Yeah,
I agree. We need music in the background. So we've got to have some cool trivia music that's the background just to kind of keep things moving. But other than that, I think that works pretty well. That's not bad.
And I need a drum roll on the soundboard.
Drum roll, yeah. And you sent me a link to put it on the soundboard, and I ignored it. Not because I meant to, but just because I kind of got away from me. So I apologize that I let you down, Tony.
Hey, Rambista.
Hey,
a friend of mine shows up in chat.
Nice.
And I just want to explain that we're sort of doing the Jeopardy style championship, right? In Jeopardy, every day they have a number of contestants, and then there's a winner at the end of the week. All the winners throughout the end of the week play each other, and at the end of the month.
You're thinking the Tournament of Champions. So Jeopardy doesn't do that. So what Jeopardy does is Jeopardy, if you win the day, you come back to defend it, and you keep going as long as you possibly can. We're not doing that. Donald, you don't get an immediate head-to-head spot next time. You, however, can participate next time. And if you happen to win the trivia every single week up until the end, you get to do the trivia by yourself, and you automatically become the monthly winner. Or maybe we'll make you go head-to-head with Tony or something. I don't know. We'll figure out what happens if somebody wins all of them. But the idea is it's almost like Tournament of Champions. Once you're a champion, you then come back for the Tournament of Champions, but the Tournament of Champions is 1 month, right? So we're not going to do it like all year where you have to come back. So at the end of the month, you come back, and then we'll kind of do head to head, and then that we'll throw some money in the pot to make the prize worthwhile. So yeah, that'll be fun. All right, I have to take a look at our schedule. What's next, man?
Yeah. And also, thanks for setting me straight on the Jeopardy thing. Obviously, you watch way more Jeopardy than I ever have.
So this is my point where I admit how old I am from a maturity perspective. I'm like the grandpa with the gray hair who watches Jeopardy regularly. I love trivia, absolutely love trivia, and Jeopardy's like one of those things. So my wife and I compete against each other, and she usually beats me. She's a very smart lady. It's back and forth, and our kids try to get in on it too. And so like you won't even know the excitement when a category comes up that they can actually do, and my wife and I back off, and they can start answering questions because they're so used to us just like bam, 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 one right after another. I enjoy Jeopardy quite a bit. And so, yeah, I definitely have watched it probably more than you have. I definitely have watched it more than you have based off of your description of the way that it worked. That's not the way that it works, man.
No, but I can quote most of every Celebrity Jeopardy from SNL if you want to do that.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, that those are great. I don't know that I would probably have to change our rating on YouTube for most of them. But no, those are funny. Those are hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. So I think it's time for Tales from the Trenches. And so Tony, yeah. So Tony, you've had a chance to share one of yours. We've had some guests on to share some of theirs. I forget where we were talking. We were on a recording recently with somebody, and I mentioned the fact that I had one. Someone reminded me of one, and I forget who it was. And I started explaining it, and then I was like, wait, I probably should wait just so that, you can get enjoyment out of hearing it for the first time on the stream. This is one I don't talk about a lot. I had to actually be reminded of this one. All right, so I'm gonna cut here, so it's just me on the screen. Tony, you can chime in whenever you want to, and I'll do that. But so my story starts. This was probably like 5 or 6 years ago, and I was working at a company at a time that had. It was an international company, but we had a bunch of national pops, and one of them just happened to be in Atlanta. And it's completely unrelated to the story, but I absolutely loved traveling to Atlanta because I live near Allentown, Pennsylvania, and living near Allentown, Pennsylvania, the closest airport is Allentown, but it flies nowhere. It's called an international airport because I think we have one flight to Canada, but like it's not. It goes nowhere. So it's very rare that I can take a flight direct out of Allentown to anywhere, but Atlanta is one of those places, meaning I can pretty much commute to Atlanta, which I love doing. Like I can leave my house at like 5 a.m. and be walking into the Colo around 8:30. It's quite something. So I would go down there pretty often. And one second, Tony, do you have your fan on? It's coming through. So thanks, buddy. So I would go down there, but this particular time wasn't one of those times where I was trying to commute and get down there early. This time I was going down because we were doing an overnight cutover. So I got down there around lunch, and it was a big cutover. It was one of these ones that was like super planned. It was one of the ones where the example is you're changing the wheels out on the car as you're driving. So there was a lot of stuff going on. Nothing could go down because, of course, everything has to be up 100% of the time. And it was like one of these really highly planned changes. And it was going to take most of the night because it was a very, step by step, do one thing at a time type change. And because it was big enough and it was a big enough deal, actually, one of my coworkers was meeting me in Atlanta. He was coming from San Antonio. And so anyway, so we went through this, and I'm going to warn you, this war story, this Tales from the Trenches is not about the technology. It's actually not about the change. That was relatively boring. We actually did a really great job planning it. Everything went as expected. We were there most of the night, and we got done probably about 3:30 in the morning. Now, one of the things about Atlanta, if you're familiar with, some of you, I imagine, are familiar. It was the Equinix facility at Marietta. And so I'm sure there's some people who are listening who will watch on YouTube who are very familiar with that facility because there's a lot of connectivity in and out of that building. But like all the hotels are around, you can catch a train from the airport. So there's no, you don't get a car, right? Like you just kind of walk in and out and do what you need to do. And that's one of the fun things about doing late night covers in Atlanta when you're walking back from the Colo all by yourself at 3:00 in the morning in downtown Atlanta. It's like, oh, maybe this is not something I tell the wife about, right, about my trip. But this time I was walking back with a friend, so that was all fine. Got back to our hotel, and it's like 3:30 in the morning. And we decided, like, it's been a long day. We grab a drink, actually, and just kind of sit down with a drink and kind of unwind a bit and talk, knowing full well that it's nearing 4:00 in the morning. And one of the things that we have to do is we have to be up bright and early the next morning to make sure that our change didn't disrupt absolutely everything. So while there was traffic going through it while we did it, the big bulk of the traffic, of course, hits at like 8:00 in the morning. And because of that, we weren't going to get much sleep. And that's a key component of this story. So we eventually roll back to our rooms sometime between 4 and 4:30 in the morning and get maybe 3 hours of sleep. I think that's about all we got that night. We get up the next morning, and we're not getting together early. It's just, we're on our computers in our hotel rooms on IM. I'm chatting. Our NOC was in the Philippines, and I was chatting back and forth to them to make sure that everything was looking good and that there wasn't anything that we'd done that had blown up the network for the night. And everything did seem to be going good. And I'm sitting there, and out of nowhere, I hear a bursts of gunfire. And I'm like, my 90% asleep monkey brain is trying to process what the heck just happened, because we're not talking about like a single shot. We're not talking about like a semi-automatic. This was a round of fully automatic gunfire followed by another volley and then a back and forth that went on for a good probably 45 to 50 seconds. And then it stopped. And so I'm sitting in my chair, not quite knowing what to do. And I'm IMing my friend. I'm like, hey, did you hear that? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, what was that? And just about as I said that, it starts again. So the genius in me, by the way, there's multiple points in this story where I point out the genius in me, decides that it's probably a good idea to go look out the window to see what's going on. And so I'm like, fully automatic gunfire, let's go check it out. Let's go see what's going on. And I realized just as I get to the window that this may not be the smartest idea. So I kind of peek through the corner of the window to see what's going on. And I see people out in the parking lot watching, but kind of standing behind cars. And I see a minute later, this sedan comes driving by. This is middle of downtown, comes driving by. Trunk is open. Someone is kneeling in the back of the trunk with an automatic rifle firing at a car that's following them. And I'm like, what is going on? And 2 seconds later, out behind the building that was blocking my view, here comes a truck. And there's the truck's coming, someone's driving the truck, and someone is standing up in the bed with an automatic rifle pointed at this sedan, firing at the sedan. I'm like, we are full out war zone. I have no idea what's going on. And in my sleep deprived brain, I am having a hard time filtering all of this. Like there's no actual, figuring out what the heck is going on. So, here's step 2 where the genius comes out. My friend's like, I'm going to go check it out. So that's it. That's his response. And my response is like, yeah, that sounds like a smart idea. So we go to meet in the lobby. And meanwhile, all this is still going on. We hear them going. I mean, like literally the gunfire is echoing off the buildings. It is insane. And we get down to the lobby and everyone is just chilling. And I'm like, that's like, there's dissonance going on here. And then I realized, wait a minute, there were people chilling in the parking lot next to the street while this was going on. And so it starts all coming back to me that like, there's something wrong here. There's something that's not lining up, because I mean, I think if, the Middle Eastern war zone is broken out on the streets of Atlanta, people wouldn't just be hanging out in the lobby like nothing was going on, but maybe they are. I have no idea. And so I asked the person at the front desk and they're like, oh yeah, they're filming a movie. So, okay. So this is the short story, right? This is a movie. This isn't just a movie. This is an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie that they're filming in downtown Atlanta that they did not tell us about when we checked in. And so, that was probably, from a work trip perspective, the most adrenaline I've ever had over the course of, from the time that I heard it for the first time till they figured out what the heck was going on. It's probably about 20 minutes of like back and forth volleying. This movie was called originally 10. I wanted to have a clip, but I was nervous. Tony, because I didn't want to clip. I didn't want to trip like DMCA takedowns. I wanted to show a clip of the movie. It's absolutely clip. So when we went out and we went to go check it out, and we're standing out there, and of course they're kind of like shooing us away because they didn't want us in the line of sight for the camera. So there was a parking garage across the street. So my coworker and I would go up the top of this parking garage and watch this for probably a good 45 minutes to an hour as they keep filming this scene over and over again. And the thing that I was missing from my perspective out of my hotel room is the building that was hiding the view of the cars as they were coming by, just on the other side with all the production set up. That's where all the cameras were. They had all the tents, they had catering. If I had seen that, it would have been nothing, but it was completely out of view from our hotel. And so on, my sleep deprived brain, I woke up to automatic gunfire and I had absolutely no idea what to do. I'm ducking behind my window to look out to see what's going on and whatever. We watched it and then ended up having breakfast. So yeah, that's my story. I thought it was a fun little one to share. It's not your typical war story in so much as that it wasn't about the technology. It wasn't about what we did there. It's more about the experience of having this completely random thing happen to you on a work trip.
Yeah. Actually, as you were telling that story, I'm sitting here, I'm listening, I'm completely focused, and I'm trying to guess what is going on. And movie definitely came to mind but I had no way to know for sure. You know, that's where you were going with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, but when you said that there was a guy kneeling in a trunk with a trunk open, firing a weapon at someone else, I'm like, this isn't real. This isn't real.
Well, that's what I'm trying to process when all this is going on, is like, there's just no way. There's just no way that what I'm seeing can be real. But it was like, I always, you know, I always assumed, and I don't know why, that like they would add that kind of noise on the back end. So like, first, it was amazing because they shut down the streets of Atlanta. Right. So like, this is not a small little operation. It costs a little bit of money to shut down downtown Atlanta, and they absolutely shut down downtown Atlanta. But then on top of it, I would assume that they would film the whole scene. You know, you're pulling the trigger, you're doing whatever, and then you add the gunshot sounds after. No. Like, these were full on blanks. They were actually, and it was loud. I mean, it was ripping. Like I said, it was absolutely echoing off all of the buildings, and you were getting this effect of them. And they were doing 180s in the middle of the street and firing back at each other. I mean, it was really dramatic. Like, you know, like once you're out there and you're seeing what it was awesome to watch, to see the kind of behind the scenes. The movie completely flopped. I don't think they ever released the movie. At least not in theaters. I think it was like one of those like straight to DVD type releases.
Wait, do you remember what the name of it was?
It was called 10, Ten at the time.
Okay.
And
so
the name changed. Yeah, I'm gonna go look it up right now. But yeah, let's go see. Let's see. Sabotage is what it ended up being called. 2014 American action thriller. Yep, it stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sam Worthington, Olivia Williams, and yeah, so it was quite the experience. Yeah, I thought that was a fun one to share. So that one's called Guns Blazing.
So did you watch the movie?
I've never watched the movie. I've watched a clip of the movie on YouTube. I've never watched the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
I looked specifically for the clip.
You didn't sit there with your wife and be like, "Look, honey, I was right there. I was right there."
I pulled up YouTube. to find a clip, and I found a clip of the movie, and I did show her because like that was like I'm not texting her right now, like while I'm in the middle of it, but after I was like, "You'll never believe what happened," you know, and that was the talk of the office for quite a while too, because all of us had gone down to Atlanta a lot. No one had ever had an experience like that. So there you go. It's one of my fun experiences.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good one.
All right.
Awesome.
So I think it's just Naked Hardware. And so what's the status of Naked Hardware today, Tony? Like, where did we land?
So Naked Hardware, well, first of all, we have to go over the winners from last week.
Okay.
We got to present and do winners from last week. And then sadly, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say that I don't have a Naked Hardware for you guys, because I feel like it's a big letdown. But you must know that I tried. I really, really tried. I even took one of my own switches and tried to pry it apart, but the damn thing won't come apart.
And COVID
I'm not kidding you.
COVID is limiting your movement to go get additional hardware to start pulling apart.
Yeah.
And
so, I have some places where there's some caches of hardware that I can pillage and have fun with this. And I anticipated going there in the last few weeks. Sadly, I have needed to pillage my own. And this time I took all of the screws out of this damn switch, and I'm going to keep calling it the damn switch until it bends to my will. But I've taken all of the screws out of it and stuck in a screwdriver and tried to pry this thing apart, and it doesn't slide forward, it doesn't slide back, it doesn't pry up, it doesn't pry down, it doesn't anything. You know, and I'm trying to do so in a way that won't destroy it, only mild marring on the chassis because it's mine and I don't care. And it won't come apart. So I failed in getting us a new Naked Hardware for today. But if this is a big letdown, I will make sure to get lots of hardware pictures for us for the weeks to come. I see Laz says, ask for audience submissions. I have always asked for audience submissions. Please, please. I would love for this to be a group event. not just unicast, not just me coming up with everything. So if anyone has some cool hardware or any hardware, it could be old routers from your CCNA kit, old switches, anything that you feel comfortable taking apart. I even would love if anyone's got like old access points. I would love to be able to crack open an access point and take pictures of the inside board and antennas and see if anyone can identify stuff like that. So if anyone's got stuff like that, email it to me, tony@networkcollective.com. If you're in the Network Collective Slack, you can drop me a DM. If you're on Twitter, you can drop me a DM or just at me. And there's lots of ways to get in touch. But yeah, if anyone's got anything, I would love to see what it is. I would love. So please send it over. With that said, we do have winners from last week's hardware. So if you want, I'll go ahead and get that up.
All right. All right.
Go ahead. Cool. Either it has lagged. Yeah.
There we go.
Every time I do this, it's behind. Okay. So this was last week's Naked Hardware. Naked Hardware is where I show you a picture of a piece of hardware without its chassis, without its lid, and you get to see the inside. You get to see the guts. You get to see the board, the lights, the LEDs, the heat sinks, and you have to try and identify this piece of equipment by its board and components in the picture only. So this was last week's. This one is one of my own. It comes from a very old treasure trove that I have. It has long been decommissioned, but it sits here as an old relic of days of yesteryear. So let's get down to what this guy was. Any last minute guesses? Well, I guess you can see the answer.
I was going to say it's pretty obvious now.
This is an old Pix 501. This is a very old Pix 501.
I
Yep,
don't even remember the last time I touched one of those.
It's about the size of a CD case, if you guys can even remember CD cases, but about 2 CD cases stacked up on each other. That's about the size of it, and it's nearly square. Yeah, little box, 100 megabit interfaces, little tiny thing. And in fact, this one doesn't even run, this one runs, I forget what version. Job. Terrible product. Yeah. This one, I burn it. No, it's my baby. Crypto maps that don't work. Yeah, it's old. So anyhow, I do have the latest software running on it, the latest supported software, which is many years old. But yeah, so I did update it before taking it out of commission, and it has really just collected dust at my house, and I can't seem to throw it away. But here it is for everyone to see. So let's take a look at who our winners were. Oh,
let's do it.
Winner. One winner.
One winner.
One winner. And today it is Wizistic.
Wizistic.
I don't know who that is,
cool
and the
Twitter
name cannot be blank. Wizistic. Definitely Cisco. Cisco Pix 501 # Network Collective.
Well done.
This was the only correct answer to come in. But as usual, we had Chris Cummings come in right behind Wizistic and go ahead and say, yep, that's got to be it. And I think Chris actually tweeted that he was having trouble trying to figure this one out. He wasn't sure what it was. But after Wizistic came in with the Pix 501, Chris co-signed that answer. So there you go. So Wizistic, I'm going to reach out to you via the Network Collective Twitter account and see if you'd like us to send you a little swag bag as a prize pack for playing Naked Hardware trivia.
So Tony,
awesome.
Very nicely done. Way to go with this. So Tony, I went and I found the clip. I'm gonna try it. We're gonna see if we get. I don't think we'll have a problem because I'm just going to leave it up on the YouTube screen, and it's a portion of a portion, and it's not incredibly long. I don't think it will, but if we get a copyright strike, it's my fault. Let's go ahead and bring it up. I don't know how it's going to work. This is playing a video through NDI, so we'll see how this goes. We don't have any audio because I don't have any audio off of my desktop. So maybe that will actually help with the strike too. So this is the truck.
Oh, I can do the audio. Get down. Get down again.
So I have no idea where this garage is because this is not what I had seen. Oh, look at this. That's the trunk. I told you. See?
Wow.
The sedan.
All right.
Yeah, I wasn't lying. The woman driving in the scene wasn't, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Get down.
And off they go. Now we're driving. Your audio is fantastic. And here we are hanging out in the back of the car. I told you.
Wow.
Standing in the back of the truck. And here we go.
Okay. So
What's
this must
the
be,
audio now?
they must be heading out to the street, and this is where you saw them, right? Going down the street. Okay.
Yep.
Leaving the parking garage and down the street. And this is right where you're sitting there eating some popcorn, watching HBO.
This road here.
What the hell is that noise?
My hotel's on this road. Yes, they're ripping through. And every one of these cars, right? Like, I mean, I didn't know this before the movie, but every single car that's on this road, of course, is part of the production. And so they all stage up it to be where they're supposed to be. And then they all come out like director says go and everyone goes out in the street where they're supposed to be.
There it is. Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, there's your audio, man. They're shooting back and forth at each other.
Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah. So there you go. Here in a second, that car's going to do a 180.
So did you get to see Arnold from the truck, or was it like a stunt double?
All of the actors were not the main actors. They were all stunt people. And in fact, it was the second time that they had recorded the scene. They had been there before and done it. There it is. There's the 180 that they just completely, and that was not the road. They completely put it on, like, But yeah, this was the second time they come in because they didn't like the footage from the first one. So I am really confident that this is the footage they used. Is from the side. That's the road right there. But yeah, they had cars with the whole rigs on them with cameras off the side and all of that.
Yeah,
I missed that when I was looking out my window, when I was looking for some semblance of how I landed in, some, firefight in the middle of Atlanta. So yeah, so there you go. There it is. That's right outside the hotel. No.
Wow.
That's what I woke up to.
Yeah.
On 3 hours of
Did you hear
sleep.
something? Did you hear that?
Yeah. Did you hear that? What was that? Yep.
Wow.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Very cool.
Well, Tony, my man, I think that's what we got. Woo. Woo. My office is really hot today. I'm like ready to be done. Heat's rolling. So we had a huge snowstorm here. So the East Coast got hit, but where I live was like the epicenter of this huge snowstorm that hit.
Oh, how much snow did you get?
We got over 2 feet. So we got like 2.5 feet of snow.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, 2.5 feet of snow. In fact, I'm looking out my window right here, which is a sloped roof. And on that sloped roof, like half of my window is covered by snow because I can't, it all just collected.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got 4 and it instantly was covered with ice. So it was like not even playable.
Ours was all snow. Ours was like, this is where the storm stalled. It sat right over the top. It was all snow the whole time.
Beautiful.
We typically don't get these because of where we live. We live in a valley. There's some components to the area where we live. We have this whole relationship with big storms that's very much like Peanuts and Charlie Brown and Lucy with the football, who pulls out the football every time. We have the storm, the meteorologists who predict the chance of big weather, because there's a chance of big weather because all the things conform to being big weather, and everyone gets all hyped. Everyone like clears out the stores. Everyone does all the things that happens when a big snowstorm happens. And then we get like an inch or 2 inches of snow. It's like always like these little things. And we live in Pennsylvania. We're like a 1 inch to 2 inches of snow. It's not like living in South Carolina and getting an inch of snow where the whole world goes and falls apart, or Atlanta or Georgia, where they get just a little bit of snow and it had to do a little bit of, it gets just a little snow and the entire highway system falls apart and there's pictures of cars on fire and all of that, right? Like we get snow all the time. And everyone gets all hyped, but it's the same thing all the time. This was our second biggest storm in our history.
Wow.
Because in fact, the only one that beat it was the one just before I moved here, which was in '96. And so this was like a monumental storm. It's just a massive amount of snow. So I'm surprised I still have internet. I'm surprised we're doing this stream tonight because my ISP is not good. It's not good at all. All right.
That's awesome.
On that note, I think we're going to wrap it up. So thanks to everyone who participated in the chat. You guys are awesome. For the people who come on regularly, it is so cool to have people who like doing this with us. For those who participated in trivia and let us work out the kinks and figure that stuff out, that was awesome. Dawn and Jay, Donald, sorry, I can't get you confused with the other Dons. Donald and Jay, thanks for coming on and being the first and the brave to show up with cameras and make it happen. And I'm looking forward to Donald in the Tournament of Champions at the end of the month.
There you go.
Yeah, a Tournament of Champions. And yeah, so I think that's it. So if you just happen to stumble across what we're doing, networkcollective.com is where you can find us. We're at Net Collective on PC, at Net Collective PC on Twitter. We're on other places as well. Go there and find out where else we are. I'm not going to give you the whole spiel. If you did find us, like and subscribe and do all of that stuff. That helps us get noticed by YouTube, and it gets out to people who don't know who we are. And so we appreciate it. And there's a whole lot of content from past streams that's going to be coming out soon. We obviously leave the whole stream up. So if you want to watch the whole thing, more power to you. But we also chop it up to make it more consumable just for the sections that made sense. And so I've got the past 2 streams I've got to get videos out from on that, and some from the stream before that as well. I think your Tales from the Trenches we still need to get done. Another thing you asked for me that I haven't finished yet. So we'll get that resolved. But yeah, so networkcollective.com. Thanks so much for watching and hanging out with us tonight, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. Until then, I hope everyone has a good week, and we'll see you next time.
And also, Preston gave me a sad message.
A sad message?
Did I miss Naked Hardware, or are we not doing that this week?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you get to explain it twice now.
Damn it.
All right. So I'll let you reason.
I failed this week, but I won't fail again.
Well, he says that as he has no access to additional hardware. Preston, if you have hardware lying around that, we can take pictures of the inside of, that would be awesome. Because Tony has exhausted his stash at his house. Everything we've taken pictures of so far is stuff that was active in Tony's network. Let that scare you. Yeah. That PIX 501, man, that's protecting his house.
Yeah, every Naked Hardware requires a maintenance window to take out.
To pull it out so you can take the case off. All right, guys.
All right, thanks, Preston. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
thanks,
it's been
everyone.
lots of fun. We'll see you next week.